Welcome, everyone, to Becoming a Parent, presented by the Boiling Point Podcast. This is a special series where we follow Mizpah and the Breeze a little bit on a newborn that they just recently had, which is why Mizpah hasn't been on the podcast much in recent weeks. He's busy being a new father. And this series is about him and about his experiences in becoming a new father and the challenges associated with that. Mizpah, let me thank you on behalf of the viewers for doing this series and continuing to do this series. Opening yourself up to the world after just having a newborn is, nothing to shy away from. That's bold. So I want to thank you on behalf of the viewers and myself for doing this series.
Of course. I would like to say that, I feel like not only am I doing this because, a lot of people don't really know what to expect or what to get into, or I've found a lot of confusion, I guess would be a good way to explain it, so far in these past 4 weeks, and I just thought it'd be a great idea to get it out there.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's a great idea for not just people who are expecting, or new parents, but even for something that old parents can watch, and then if they want, have the nostalgia of when they had their very first newborn as well. And of course, learning is always what we try and do here at the Boiling Point Podcast: entertain and inform. So, Ms. Paul, this is our third episode now, and we're about She's been home now 4 weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
It'll be 4 weeks on Saturday.
4 weeks on Saturday, and we are a couple of days away from that. So it's been about 3 weeks, then 3.5 weeks that she's been home. In the last episode, you mentioned about how you were starting to get into a schedule, albeit her schedule, not you guys, not you and the Breeze's schedule, but how's that? So how's the schedule been going?
Well, constantly changing.
That's kind of when you said that in the last episode, I made a mental note. I was like, nah, settling into a rhythm. Yeah. Settling into a schedule. Yeah. We'll see how that goes on episode 3. So that's the first thing we're talking about, because I wanted to see how that was going.
So for the first few nights, we kind of got into a good rhythm where, we knew she'd wake up every 3 hours looking to be fed, looking to, get a diaper change, and then she'd go back to sleep. And, that was the routine. That was the pattern. Then all of a sudden she started deciding about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, it was time to be awake. And that would last until about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Huh.
So, and it didn't matter what we did to get her to go back to sleep. She just wasn't having it. And there was a whole lot of, rocking and burping, and she'd start to fall asleep. And then we'd think we could lay her down because, she's out. She's catching flies.
Yeah.
Lay her down and wide awake.
Yeah.
Or then, that led into another routine, which was not so much fun, where it'd be time to eat, and then about a half hour later, she'd wake up, need a diaper change. Then, we've been experiencing her having issues with spitting up a little bit at night, which is a little confusing because during the day she's fine.
Yeah.
But at night she spits up. And, so we take care of that, get her settled down, falls asleep maybe an hour, and then she wakes up ready to eat and start the process all over again.
Yeah.
So sleep is not something that we take for granted.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that my mother lives close enough that she was able to come down and stay with us for a few hours in the morning one day, just so that we could go crash and get some sleep.
Yeah.
And I know that not everybody has that luxury or that ability. And all I have to say is my hat's off to you, because if I didn't have that ability, I mean, we'd get through. I'd be fine, but I'd be a lot more tired and a lot more miserable.
I believe we hear a little in the background. I don't know if it's going to be loud enough for it to pick up once we get it posted, but I can hear her in the background a little bit now, waking up. So even now, we're shooting this. It's 10 o'clock at night, and she's not even necessarily asleep right now.
Yeah, I mean, she's been asleep for a little bit. It's soon going to be feeding time again.
Yeah, and of course, there are two of you. The Breeze is obviously she's off screen. She may get in on this episode here a little bit. But tell me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have kids. Full disclaimer, as always, I don't have any children. I do have lots of nephews, and now I have a niece. Even if you guys were to take shifts, like let's say the Breeze gets up and does things and you try and sleep. I can't imagine that I would have to be so tired that if the baby's crying and my wife is tending to him or her, I'm going to be up. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to be up. I'm going to just be standing by. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty much how that goes.
Now, is that fresh? Go ahead.
We had that grand illusion of, all right, well, you know what? Let's take shifts. I'll take this feeding. You take the next one. We'll work this out. We'll be fine. Then you're both awake anyway. So that throws that whole concept right out the window.
Yeah.
And now it does eventually. We had gotten to a point to where, it was in the evening, and I pretty much led the Breeze back to the bedroom and turned the TV on and turned the fan on and locked her in the bedroom and was like, get some sleep.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, I'm just going to let you nap for an hour, maybe two, and then I'll get you up.
And then you let her sleep for 8, right?
Till she decided to wake up.
Oh, until she woke herself up and realized that you had not woken her up.
Yeah, which
was
I imagine 4 hours later.
Yeah, I imagine there was some chewing out after that.
She was a little perturbed, but she understood why I did it.
Since we are talking about her, let's talk to her if she is available. The Breeze, how are you feeling? We're about 3.5 weeks from you delivering this little bundle of joy. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. There are still some days where I have some discomfort. To give full disclosure, I did end up having to have our little Sam via cesarean section. So the healing time is a little bit longer on that. Obviously a little more entailed. Our little Sam, she decided not to make her appearance until October 29th, and I was induced on October 27th. So I was in labor for a few days before she decided to come into the world. But those days definitely flew by. So
I can imagine they're just a blur. But how's your energy level? Are you starting to get some rest and start to recover?
I feel like I am a little more. Yeah, I don't feel quite as zombie-ish as I was at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I know there were many nights, one night in particular, where she was what they call cluster feeding, where she was eating every half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and then it would just repeat the process all over again.
Yeah.
That night was hard for me because it was one of those, we had fed her, I was trying to get her back to sleep, and we'd feed her again, and then she just kept fussing and crying, and then I started crying because I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. So I'm walking her around our house in circles. She's crying, I'm crying, and I looked at Mizpah and I was like, I don't know what to do. I feel so bad. I wish she could just talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's got to be the hardest thing there. But sometimes, and of course, I'd like to also enclose, I'm not a doctor, though I do play one on television. it's got to be. They need to cry. They need to cry. That's how their lungs grow. That's what helps them with their lung expansion and stuff. So crying is not necessarily a bad thing for a newborn baby and even toddlers. You know what I mean? Sometimes crying is just part of growing up, really.
Absolutely.
But I can understand. Well, no, I can't understand. But I could see how being, that being your daughter and you not being able to understand what's wrong with her when she's crying, that has to be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you've done everything you can, you're
Yeah.
out of answers, and she's still fussing.
Yeah.
They're going, I got nothing.
Well, I would imagine, and this is just a complete guess, I would imagine Mizpah stepped in, put her crying and screaming on your chest, and then just held her until she stopped screaming and crying.
Actually, I kind of held both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense, of course. That makes sense. So, yeah, and that's got to be, but how's is she sleeping for at least a few hours, even if it's during the day? Is she sleeping for a couple of hours now, or is it still just an hour or so at a time?
During the day, she's a sleeping champ.
Yeah.
She eats, she gets her butt changed, she goes right back to sleep.
So you guys are in the process of reverse cycling right now, where you guys are in the process of trying to stay up all night so that you can try and sleep with her all day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's a fine line for you though, Mizpah, isn't it? Because you're going to be going you'll be first back to work.
Yeah.
So you'll reverse cycle just at the time where you're like, okay, I'm used to getting up at 7 o'clock and going to bed at 6 a.m. You're going to be going back to work.
Yep. And that's going to be an adventure.
Yeah, to say the least.
I would like to say that, one thing that I haven't really touched on a lot is through this process, I have gained so much more respect for my wife. Like undescribable levels of respect, because, so fun fact, a cesarean section is the only surgery where they cut through 5 tissue layers to remove the baby and then expect the woman to be up and moving around in 6 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And so during the delivery process, the Breeze chose to put off any kind of medications to ease the pain for 2 days, and finally caved on I guess the 3rd day.
And it was basically the 11th hour.
And it was basically the 11th hour of the 3rd day.
Yeah.
She finally decided to get the epidural. And that wasn't because I was urging her not to. I kept telling her, whatever you choose, I support you.
Yeah.
That is your decision to make, and I am in your corner regardless of what you decide.
Well, can I ask the Breeze what were her concerns with the epidural?
It wasn't so much a concern for me. Maybe some women that listen to this episode might think I'm crazy, but I just wanted to experience labor. And I wanted to know what that pain was like, as silly and maybe insane as it sounds.
No, I would never want to go through childbirth. Give me all the drugs in the world. But I understand what you mean by, you're a woman though. That's an experience that women have, and you wanted the full experience. That makes sense to me.
Right.
So would you advise other women? What would you advise other women right now? Let's say that there's a pregnant woman watching this. It's her first child, and what would you advise her to do? Epidural or no epidural?
Well, I honestly have to say it all depends on where her labor pains are at in her body.
Really?
Yes. For me, my labor was, for the most part, was all in the front. So it was a lot of stomach cramping, which I could handle. But then it moved into my back. And once the pains moved to my back, that's no joke. Women who have all back labor, I tip my hat to you, because that was the worst pain I've had in my life.
Okay.
I
So
lasted maybe, I think it was like 2 hours or so.
It was a little longer
A
than
little
that.
longer than that.
It was about 3.5 hours till you finally were like, okay, I'll take that epidural now.
Yeah.
And then it took them like another hour to bring the stuff up to do it.
Yeah. And I think like 15 minutes later, I was like, where is he? Like I was
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, you got to sometimes. I mean, hats off to the nurses and doctors, that deliver babies, and the nurses and doctors in emergency rooms. Mad credit to you. You guys are soldiers, absolutely. But when you're in pain, I don't care that you have to fill out a form in order to get it out of the farm, to get the drugs out of the pharmacy, and then you need the right person in order to do them. That doesn't matter to us when we were in pain. And I can't imagine that the Breeze gave a whole heck of a lot of crap about what needed to be done procedurally before she was able to get that.
And another thing that the Breeze hasn't mentioned is even after the cesarean section, they asked her if she wanted pain medication, and she said no. So they chose to give her just Tylenol for the pain. Well,
Yeah.
Tylenol and ibuprofen together. And she didn't complain, wince, moan, groan, nothing at all.
Wow.
At any point during that process after the fact, or even during her healing, which she's still going through.
Yeah.
Now, towards the end of the night, I could tell she was getting stiff and sore, and I'd have to look at her and be like, honey, did you take any medication today? And she'd say, no, I'm probably about due, as I'm handing her the pills.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, I very much would be like, nope, I don't want to feel this. Where's the drugs?
I woke up. I had my gallbladder taken out laparoscopically. I woke up yelling. I woke up in the middle of yelling at the nurses and doctors to give me more drugs. It was so much pain when I woke up. I couldn't take it. There was I can't imagine. Couldn't even imagine. It was a laparoscope. I have the tiniest little incision, certainly not a cesarean. And I woke up in the middle of a sentence screaming for more drugs. So I can't imagine taking Tylenol and Motrin after a C-section. That's crazy to me. Is there a reason? Is it just because you don't like narcotics, Breeze? I guess I could just call you Breeze. It doesn't have to be the Breeze all the time. Is it because you don't like narcotics, Breeze, or is it because of a different concern or reason?
I think my big concern was in the beginning, I really wanted to be able to breastfeed Sam, and I wasn't sure how that would affect that process.
Yeah.
Or if it would be harmful to her in any way, which I'm sure if it were, they wouldn't offer it to me. But just my own mindset was that if I don't need it, I'm not going to put it in my body right now.
Yeah. No, I think, and I don't know. I'm not a doctor, though. Again, I play one on TV. I think when you take narcotics and stuff, it can get into the breast milk. I thought. Again, I don't know that for sure, but that's what I thought. So I thought taking anything would get to the baby. That's why I asked you that question. I figured it was because you didn't want it to get to the baby.
Right. Yeah, that was exactly the reason why. And quite honestly, I didn't feel I needed them. I was able to.
Oh, you're crazy, Breeze. We're not listening to your nonsense. We're not listening to that. Honestly, I didn't feel like I needed it. Go be a martyr somewhere else. I'm just kidding, of course.
But with that being said, like, just how much she dealt with through that process, and like, I know how I would have handled how I handle any kind of like internal pain or trauma, and to see her deal with it the way she did, like, it just mad respect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't. Honestly, I didn't think. Oh, Breeze, get out of here. I need them. Let me tell you that right now. I'll just go on record. You cannot need them all day.
But So, yeah, and that wasn't something I had thought about at all during this process, honestly, until it was happening. And then after the fact, it was just kind of like, she did that.
Yeah, I would imagine it was surreal for you. You kind of were, you're a witness. You weren't really a participant.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching it unfold in front of you had to be almost an out-of-body experience, watching that happen.
Well, I think we had briefly touched on, it might have been our last episode.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we talked about that, about how you felt after. Well, I that was though specifically about after you saw the baby, though, after she was born and stuff, I think. But yeah, I imagine the whole process had to be a little surreal for you, being, an observer, not an actual participant. I mean, I know you were there supporting Breeze, but you were just there for her. That's it. That's all you could do. There was nothing else for you to do. Were you frustrated at all by that? That you couldn't do something?
At times when, I felt like she wasn't getting what she wanted, or there was nothing that I could do to help her.
Yeah.
And wished I could. That was when I was frustrated, because I wished there was something I could do.
Yeah. But you couldn't. Yeah. And that's got to be the frustrating. There's got to be parts, yeah, that were very frustrating.
So, but with all of that, and now that we've been home for almost 4 weeks, it is amazing how quickly she has and is recovering from having the C-section. And it surprised me at how fast that incision heals up, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still healing, and it's going to take, some weeks till that's 100% recovered.
Yeah.
But within a few days, it goes from being, an open wound basically to like 80% sealed up.
Yeah.
In a matter of just a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, the human body is remarkable at being able to heal itself and recovering after childbirth. Isn't it astonishing how the female body, what Breeze went through to deliver the baby and what she goes through afterwards.
And something that nobody really talks about is the hormonal side of things.
Postpartum, yeah.
And that, I would say that also affects the men as well, the dads, because our world's just been turned upside down.
Yeah.
Everything we knew, did, expected, every aspect of everything about our lives is completely different.
Yeah.
And adjusting to that is a little emotional.
Yeah.
And when you get fatigued and tired and you're so worried and focused on everybody but yourself, it does take a little bit of a toll. However, with that being said, I thank God every day, every minute, every moment that we've been able to experience this.
Yeah, absolutely. How important, I want to ask you another thing. How important is it? Because you just talked about a lot of stuff. You're going through a lot of things. It's a huge change. How important is it? And I'm not talking about your mother or some of your family that you have come in to help you bear the load. But how important is it to keep other people out of your business with now that you've just brought her home? Like, I mean, let me see if I can clarify for our viewers what exactly I'm asking. You're gonna have, you guys, the Breeze has sisters. You have family as well. And they have to be giving you opinions and advice and do this, and this is what you want to do, and I swear by this. How important is it to try and keep some of that out?
So when we first got home, we intentionally didn't post anything on Facebook or any social media platforms for a few days because we needed to take that time to figure out us
Yeah.
and to figure out what and learn what we needed to learn and know in those few days. Every day, I say that, but every day we're learning new things and figuring things out as we go because we all know babies don't come with instruction manuals.
Yeah.
And then after that, with the questions that we have, it is nice to be able to reach out to people and get, their opinions and their advice, but it is just opinions and advice.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about soliciting advice, but let me ask you this directly. Do you have anybody who's trying to give you advice without your soliciting it? Or has everybody been very respectful towards your space?
I mean, I would say for the most part, everybody's been pretty respectful.
Well, that's great news.
Occasionally, sometimes we've had people who are offering advice because they're trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
They're trying to, because they know that it's something that we, are going to need help with and stuff. So they're trying to be proactive.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there does come a point where too much advice sometimes can be worse than no advice at all.
Yeah.
Because it gets overwhelming, and then you start sitting there and you start thinking, well, all right, now I have conflicting advice.
Yeah. Then you start overanalyzing.
And that was actually a conversation that me and Breeze had. And we had to realize, in the end, we are the ones that make the decision. It is, it's our child, it's our decision, and, we're the ones that have to decide what we think is best based on what we know, what information we have. And that's all we can do. Just give this child the best that we have and hope for the best. And pray for the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the way it goes right there. That's the way it's done. But that's great that you haven't been that everybody's been very respectful and giving you the space that you guys need. That's great news.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, occasionally, sometimes, but people are offering some advice, but I understand where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would. I had one situation where I kind of got a lot of flack because Sam's doctor is not a specialized pediatrician.
Yes.
She's going to our family doctor who does pediatric care.
But he's not a specialized pediatrics doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did catch a lot of flack about that. And then from other people, they were like, you know what? This is your baby. You do what you feel is best for your child. Nobody has the answer for you. Everybody's opinion, that's just what it is their opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
If they want to take their child to a doctor who specializes in pediatrics, that's their choice.
But a lot of parents just take their kid to the family physician. It's the family doctor. Family doctors are still capable of diagnosing and treating children.
Absolutely. And I have full confidence in our doctor that if he felt Sam needed some kind of specialized care that he could not offer, he would tell us that and refer us to somebody else.
I would imagine. Go ahead, Mizpah.
He actually outright told us that,
Mhm.
you know, if he felt that any specialized care needed,
Right.
he would let us know if it was outside of his realm.
Yeah, and with today's day and age, with the healthcare system and everything, the way it's in, finding a doctor you trust is actually a lot more difficult than people think it is. It's not as easy as just going to a doctor. You know what I mean? You really need to trust the doctor. And if it's a doctor that you trust, then that you got to stick with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my doctor now is, I mean, I trust him completely, but the doctor that I had previously, she had not retired, but moved on, gone somewhere else to a different place, and they tried to give me someone else. And I was like, I saw them for one appointment and said, nope. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Time to find a new doctor. And that can be a pain. You got to try it. You go to different places, see if you can find one that you like or trust. And that can be terrible if you have medications that you need to get refilled. As
I
well.
think the doctors could be a whole episode all on its own.
Exactly. Yes, and we shouldn't talk about it on this one, but yes, it could be a whole. But that's what I was bringing up that point though too, because you know it is hard to find doctors, and if you have a doctor you trust, then why not take your, you know, if it's a family doctor and they're capable, then there's no reason not to. You know what I mean? You don't go get a new doctor who you don't trust just because they're a pediatrician. That would be my thinking.
And one thing that I has just come to my mind, we did have some people who were a little upset that, you know, we didn't come see them or have them, you know, call them to have them come see Sammy, you know, like the minute we got home.
Yeah, I'm one of them. No, of course I'm not.
But
Of course I'm not.
and I think some of that, you know, people don't think about the fact that, you know, she hasn't been exposed to germs and viruses that are out there yet, or, you know, how just, for example, the common cold could affect her versus you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's wintertime too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
cold.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, it is cold out. I mean, I want to see, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's put this into perspective because I want to see little Sammy also. And so does my mom. We all want to see her over here. But we have not pushed you. We have said, yo, we want to see her. You know that we want to see her. But we've always said, whenever you're ready to bring her out, when you're ready to start going places with her. We've never, you know, tried to push you into going out. And I don't think other people should be trying to do that either. Of course, everybody wants to see her. She's a new baby. She's part of the family, you know. Of course, everybody wants to see them. They just got to settle down and relax and wait because, you know, you guys just are still adjusting yourselves.
And but the reason I brought that up is because, you know, at first, you know, when a couple of our friends, you know, it was one of them deals where they'd ask and we'd be like, well, you know, we're not quite there yet, you know, and we were nice about it. And then the next time we talked to them, they'd ask, you know, if we're taking her out and about, you know, or if we're letting people come over, or, you know, and it was just a constant. They kept asking and kept asking. And I was getting very frustrated by that.
Yeah.
But I had to take a step back and realize they're excited too.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're trying to nag or be annoying or anything like that. It's just that I need to take a minute and explain the why.
Yeah.
Or you know, and let them know, look, here's where we're at. Here's the reason for it.
But
trust me, you will know the minute that we decide.
Yeah.
Going to start going out and about or this or that or having people over. And for the most part, you know, people accepted that and they were like, okay, you know what, that makes sense. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And right now, one of my big things, honestly, is because of, and I know there's always going to be some kind of new virus or germ or something going around. But right now, one thing that's running really rampant is RSV. And that can be deadly in infants. So I'm call me an overprotective mom, whatever you may be, put whatever label you want on it. but I'm trying to keep my baby safe and healthy. And if that means we don't go out as much, or I'm very picky, if you have a really bad cough, I'm sorry, we can't see you right now.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, for a perfect example is my dad. My dad has not gotten to hold Sammy yet. The only time he's seen her in person was through the screen door of our house because he's been sick. And he even said, I don't want to risk getting her sick or getting you or Nick sick and then passing it to her.
Yeah.
So he's been completely understanding about it. But I mean, yeah, I feel bad. That's her grandfather, and he's not even been able to hold her yet. But it's one of those, well, we're not going to take that risk. And when you feel better, we will come visit, or you can come here, however it may be. So, I mean, if anybody, anybody has any reason to be upset, would be
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you're right with coronavirus and RSV. You do have to be careful. I think that you're making the right call. I think you're making the right call, keeping everything kind of locked down right now. I mean, she's only, 25 days old. Let's be real. I mean, 25 days old. What? We're counting her age by days at this point. That's what I'm saying. So,
And I would also say that one thing I have been very thankful for is, we've had a couple of friends that we, real close friends that, I've known since I was 5. And I was like, you know what, if you guys want to come over for a couple hours, this Saturday, that'd be great. And, my friend's wife, they were gonna come make us dinner, and, whatever else we needed done, they were going to help us out with, which is fantastic.
yeah.
Anybody who's willing to help us do things, because right now time is of short supply.
Yeah, it's either with her or sleep, I would imagine.
Is greatly welcomed.
Yeah.
And that was another thing that we struggled with a little bit, as being willing to be like, you know what, yeah, you can help me do this.
Yeah.
You can help me. You know what? You want to run the vacuum in my living room for me? Great. Go right ahead. Knock yourself out.
Yeah.
You want to do a little bit of dusting for me? Great. Go ahead. Knock yourself out. You want to bring us dinner? Fantastic. That means I didn't have to cook.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I feel like we get caught up in that, not asking for help, because I am independent and
Yeah.
I am a father now, and I got this, and we can handle everything on our own. That we stop to be like, you know what? People want to help us.
Yeah.
Why not let them help a little bit? Because in the long run, yeah, it's helping you out, and it makes them feel good as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I imagine anybody who's offering help to you is doing it, wanting to do it genuinely. They want to do it to help you. I mean, not just to make themselves feel good, but to help, but to help you, continue with this this task that you have, which is it's an unbelievable task to raise another human being. So. And again, in the first 25 days, or even the first couple of weeks, in the first couple of months, in the first couple of years, I can imagine you guys are just going to have your hands full.
Oh yeah. Well, for the next forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they called us up and said, "Hey, look, I woke up this morning and I'm feeling a little bit stuffy. Can we reschedule? I'd rather be safe than sorry." And you know what? We were elated. We were like, thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
I appreciate your understanding. We can absolutely reschedule this. Just let us know when you're feeling better, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that a lot more than, somebody saying, I'm sick, but I really wish I could come see her.
Yeah.
Or coming over knowing and then saying, oh, I have a bit of a cold, or,
Yeah, or waiting till they're at your house, or waiting until they sneeze or something, or cough in your house, and I got a little cold. Well, thanks for telling me now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good.
Hasn't happened to us yet.
No.
But that was something we had talked about is, if somebody would be sitting here and all of a sudden, I'm getting over a head cold, that's, to me, that would be disrespectful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why when we had talked when she was born and stuff, and that's what, because we were sick at first when you first brought her home and stuff, and I'm like, well, as soon as we're better and you guys are out, let's link up. But we've also got to see her through Skype and video and stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with that too. I mean, we can't hold her that way, but we can still see her and talk to her and stuff. So people just need to use what's available to them. If they want to see her or whatever, then that's what they need to do right now. And that's good that most people understand and are giving you the space and the help that you need, because that's got to, I mean, it's got to be a fine line for the people on the outside. How I want to help them, but what's too much help, what's being there too much, that's a fine line to walk there.
And another thing and it kind of took me by surprise. One of the things that I've found is the hardest for me to adjust to is not having the answer, not having the solution, and not understanding or being able to fix it.
Yeah.
Like, when she's fussing and we've done everything. We've fed her, we've changed her, we've rocked her, we've tried to put her to sleep, we've everything in our arsenal, and it's not working.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, because me, I'm the person who tries to fix everything or have the answer for everything.
Yeah.
And, at least have a basic knowledge of everything. And this is one of those times when that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, no amount of knowledge is going to prepare you for that.
So, that I don't think for anybody who can relate to me from that kind of personality, that's something you have to prepare yourself for, is not knowing the answer and being okay with that.
Yeah. Actually, it's not just not knowing the answer, it's the being okay with that.
Yes.
That's where the struggle. Yeah, that's where the struggle comes to play, is being okay with it. Yeah, that's usually problems for most people, though. Whether it's not just with not knowing about your child, but anytime you don't know, it's not a place most people want to be.
Yeah, and that's what has surprised me the most, because that wasn't something I thought about.
Yeah, I can imagine the amount of things that you never thought about could fill up a garbage truck.
Probably a semi.
No, I'm just talking about right now, up to now, like 3
Yeah.
weeks in. I don't mean like all together. I mean, by the time she's 18, you're going to be able to have filled a landfill.
At least,
regarding the things that you didn't think about before they happened.
But I'm thankful every day, and when you've gotten to a point in life where, in your deepest part of your soul, you've accepted the fact that having a child isn't going to happen, and you fully accept that and become okay with that.
Yeah.
And not just okay, but you're I got to a point where it was like, what? Okay. This is what it is, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And now here she is.
Yep.
And there's a feeling there that I can't even really put into words.
Yeah.
But that feeling, like, it's love, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
And even the littlest things, like, I was holding her and, just kind of gave her a little kiss on the cheek. And then she nuzzled her little nose down into my neck.
Yeah.
And just kind of let out this little, like, ah.
Yeah.
And my heart melted.
Yeah.
And I turned into a little mushy teddy bear.
Yeah.
It's those things.
Yeah.
And those moments that, I just take a minute stop, appreciate, and thank God for that moment.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's face it, he is the reason that this has happened.
Yeah, absolutely. All glory to God, certainly. And I can see the Breeze is going to have to be the one. She's going to be Captain Punishment around the house. Because you're not going to do nothing. You're never going to punish her ever.
And we'll see.
No. The only time the only time you'll be, dangerous daddy is when it's about boys. That's it. I don't believe that you will ever be any other. I'm sorry. I'm with the Breeze. She's got you wrapped around her finger, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We've had this conversation, and we've decided that we're going to have to make sure that we stay on a unified front with
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yes. Unified front. Yes.
I will not go against what Mom says. And
Yes.
I will not go against what Dad says.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to solve that will be, when she tries playing the game of asking Mommy, then asking Daddy.
Yeah. The Breeze, I want you to remember and make a mental note that we have him on camera saying this at this time. Okay, just keep that in your back pocket for later.
All right.
It'll be, if she asks her mom, well, what did your dad say?
Mm-hmm.
And if she asks her dad, it'll be, well, what did your mom say?
Mm-hmm.
And if she hasn't asked the other, it'll be, okay, well, we're going to talk about it and we'll let you know.
Yes. Because that's exactly how it's going to work. That's
not how it's going to work.
How did your plan work for when she was born?
Not at all.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's why I said, of course, that's the plan. That's probably not how it'll work.
You know who else is laughing at your plan right now? God is laughing right now.
Oh yeah. You want to find out that God exists, make plans.
Yeah, because he's laughing right now. You just told a hilarious joke to him. You're going to be a unified front. And the Breeze is going to be the bad guy, and if she gets to Daddy first, the answer will always be yes. So Daddy will be the yes man, Mommy will be the no. And so if we just don't ask Mommy and we only ask Daddy, and Mommy's not around, she's at the store, she's working, Daddy, you have to answer now. We know what you're going to say, and so does the Breeze. We're not fooled. We're not buying it. We're not buying it here. We're not buying it here on the Boiling Point podcast. We're not buying it. So
The Breeze will call up Uncle John and tell him, hey, this is what Dad did. And we'll kind of say, well, yeah, we knew that was coming.
Yep.
So.
Well, that'll be future podcast episodes.
Yep. I look forward to episode 225. JD tells Mizpah, I told you so.
Mizpah's in the doghouse for what?
Yeah. The Breeze did what to Mizpah? Yeah.
Sammy got away with what?
Yeah. Where did you drive that car? No. Seriously though, again, she'll know in the future she's not going to have a boyfriend. Well, she's not going to have a boyfriend. She's not going to have a girlfriend. It doesn't matter what it is. She's not having any of it. She's going to be a nun and celibate. So that's just all there is to it. And I'm not even her father. So if you don't think that this girl is going to have a real problem with dating, because I'm not even the father, and look at what I'm saying.
I'm just not making any comments on that because then it's premeditation.
That's okay. They'll never find the body. Not with Uncle JD here. They'll never find the body. Of course, if there are any law enforcement officials watching, we are just kidding. Of course, we are only kidding, and we are not serious at all. So let's move on from that. So next episode, we're going to take a look at some of Mizpah's journals that he's been recording, and we're going to talk about some of the events and some of the things that he's been talking about in his journal entries, his video journal entries. So we're going to show a couple of those clips of those, and then we're going to talk about what he was talking about in his journal entries. And that's where we're going to continue to go with the series. We're going to get a little bit more of Mizpah's journals in future episodes. That'll probably become a more normal thing, doing some of Mizpah's journals. Hopefully the Breeze will be able to join in on some more episodes in the future as well. Even though we called it Becoming a Father, it was just because we knew the Breeze was not going to be able to make it onto every episode, and I wanted to feature Mizpah as the primary person. But really, it's about becoming a parent, not just becoming a father. We just call it that because Mizpah is going to be the primary guest on this series. Please leave us a comment. Whatever comment you'd like, leave Mizpah and the Breeze a question. Leave them a comment. And of course, if you want, you can always email us. You can email me at jdboilingpoint@gmail.com. And of course, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and you can follow me on Twitter at Mayhem Prez. Facebook is the primary place. That's where you can find most of our stuff, or at least where our access to all of our portals, wherever our episodes are. Rumble is the primary source. Make sure you check us out there, rumble.com/c/The Boiling Point Podcasts. Share out the episodes, help us reach more people. Visit the storefront, bonfire.com/store/The Boiling Point Podcast, and pick yourself up some apparel. We have onesies also, since this is one about Mizpah's daughter, that we have onesies. We have 2 different styles of onesies. Go and pick yourself up a onesie. We also have toddler shirts now, toddler and infant onesies. So go and pick something up and help support the podcast. Or for little Sammy, who I believe the mic just possibly picked up again, and her mommy, the Breeze, and her daddy, Mizpah. I am Uncle JD, and that's the end.
Good night.